The DMR MAC10 combination is a horrible meta. It's so difficult to fight against, but it can be fought against all the same. Hello everyone, I'm Shadow's Rain, and you are awesome. And today we are going to do exactly that. Break down this meta and attack it with some classes that will destroy it. So if you do enjoy the video, make sure you hit that like button below and consider subscribing. Every little helps. And let's get right on with the video. We have countered metas before in the past with varying degrees of success. Sometimes they've went very well, sometimes not so much, but I am actually quite confident in this one, even though it is a bit harder to do this time round. So some of the old metas that we've helped beat was the M4 Sniper in Season 1. We beat that with an Oden ABR, surprisingly effective, and surprisingly the M4 Sniper didn't really have that much of an answer to it. After that came the AR MP5, and that was matched by a shotgun and an Oden. Again, not much it could do about it. The next meta that came out around about that time, excluding stuff that was patched out after a couple of days, is the Grau. We countered that with a Bruin, and we probably created the Bruin meta actually, because as soon as we started bringing out those videos about using the Bruin, all of a sudden it started to pick up, and then the Bruin became the meta. Next thing after that was the FAL. Then the FAL became a meta around Season 4 to counter the Bruin. So the Bruin was there, then the FAL countered it, and then the FAL became meta. And then Stunts and Snipers countered that. So, yeah, those are some of the examples of some of the stuff that we've done in the past. I know a lot of people saying that the R9 Dragon's Breath is meta, but I actually don't think it is. I don't think it needs a counter class video dedicated to it, just because I don't think it's overpowered. Do think it shouldn't be ground loot, though. Any shotgun shouldn't be ground loot, in my opinion, but we're going off on a tangent there. Having an R9 does take away your mid-range capabilities, and you can only use it in certain situations, of which if you play it into their hands when using them, then that's more of a skilled thing than having every Tom, Dick and Harry being able to use that and kill everybody with it. It does require some skill. So let's talk about the DMR counters. Now, this one is one of the hardest class counters I've had to do in a long time. So we'll start off with weapon counters, then we'll do some general loadout counters like attachments and stuff, and any field upgrades and stuff that can help with that. So we're going to start with probably the most effective one. That's going to be a Kar98 and a FAL. Not an AS-FAL, an FAL. Now this has high damage at multiple ranges. So the main thing they need to know here is that the FAL is still strong, even with the limbs nerf it got. And it did get a mild buff to headshots in that very same update as well. So if you do hit the head of it, it's going to be absolutely devastating. You'll notice that I'm using this weapon with a mobility build, so no stock. We're using other stuff to make the short barrel. Just makes up to make it faster to compete with the SMGs and shotguns. But it's got amazing mobility, and its hip fire is decent, very spammable. And the only thing is, with this particular loadout, is that it is vulnerable to shotguns and extreme sniper ranges. So the Kar98 can drop people in one shot, which is going to be very handy against those DMR users. Now, I don't know about you, but I actually find it quite easy to headshot with the Kar. It's just one of those things which just invites headshots. I don't know why, it just is. I find it easy to hit the head with this than I do other things, maybe because of its mobility as well. But that is just one of these things that will... I'm having a lot of success taking down DMR and MAC10 meta with this, so... yeah. The next thing that I want to cover on this list is going to be an Oden and an R9. We're using the shotgun again. So this is going to cause heavy flinch and damage to the DMR user, making you very hard to hit. Now it does have insta-kill potential on the MAC10 with the R9 shotgun. And this setup also covers a lot of range, and the semi-auto mode on the Oden is actually really effective, and not enough people are using it in that mode for me, but you absolutely should, because it is really effective. The only thing with the Oden though is that you do have to sacrifice some recoil control to make it a bit faster, otherwise it is extremely slow. However, you can counteract that if you can get that recoil absolutely nailed. So you'll notice with these two classes that I've gave you so far, I've given answer to as many ranges as possible, because that's what the DMR and the MAC10 is kind of throwing at us, every range covered. So yeah, the next thing on this list in terms of weapon counters is shields and sticks. This one's self-explanatory really. They cannot kill you if they cannot hit you, so you just want to be able, you know how to use ride shields and sticks. It's not a hard thing to do, but if you find yourself getting really peeved off in this meta, this is something that you can do to whip it out and absolutely ruin their day. Obviously use this with stuns, which we'll get into later. But yeah, this is something that you can really do to actually punish these DMR classes as well. Next on the list is going to be the loadout counters. Now, smoke and thermals is an absolute treat on this class. Now, the reason that smoke and thermals is that important is because, much like the shield, being they cannot hit you, they cannot kill you, they cannot hit what they cannot see with this class. Now, there are multiple ways that you can implement the smoke. You can use the underbarrel smoke launcher, which is one of my favorite ways of doing so, or you can use smoke grenades as your secondary. Now, both of them have their pros and cons, but the main one is that you can throw smoke on yourself, and you can basically stand up with your thermal sight, even if they're using cold-blooded. As long as you've got a rough idea where they are, always handy to ping before you actually pop the smoke, just so you know where you're looking. You can take people down really, really quickly with this particular loadout. So it just depends on what gun you want to use that with. You can use that with snipers, you can use that with ARs, it depends on whatever range you want to be taken at. The thermal hybrid sight isn't a bad shout here, as long as you're using something to counteract that extra aim down sight time that you're going to be inflicting with that sight and with the underbarrel if you choose to use it. Now, with that, with the smokes, you only have a limited number of them, which is why I prefer the underbarrel one, because you can just pop that on yourself and you can have up to 7. 9 if you also run the smoke grenades as well. Really good for reviving people as well. If someone takes a hit and you want to say cover them from a pop self-res, or you want to actually get to them, really helpful. A lot of people use the DMR as a rooftop kind of camping gun, so it's really good for popping a smoke on your path as well. Throwing a smoke and then popping your grenade smoke to smokes, creating a large area for you to run under. I have done this once or twice. Really handy to do that. And like I say, they cannot hit what they cannot see, so just bear that in mind. We've also mentioned that it can double as res protection as well, and it's good. Only negative side to using this particular thing is that it can disrupt your team, so make sure your team know that you're running this setup and give them the option to set up the attachments they need to actually be able to have it work for them as well, or position away from them. Now, one thing you want to try to generally avoid is throwing the smoke at the opponent. The only reason you want to do that is if you want to smoke the whole team and they're very close together. So it's very effective to do it that way, but if you're just throwing the smoke on one person, it's not massively effective. So it's better off just doing it on yourself, because you're the one that's benefited from using the thermal sight. So just a little thing to bear in mind there as well. Also, deployable covers work an absolute treat as well. Like I said before, the DMR really shines in range in areas where it's open. You haven't got really anywhere to hide. If you can pop down a smoke and then pop down a deployable cover, you're going to be laughing. You're going to have a lot more control in that engagement than you otherwise would have. So that is just something for you to bear in mind. The other thing as well is that we mentioned this before in the right shield section is the stuns. Stuns and anything that can slow their aim is massively effective. If you can get someone with a rocket to give them that slow when you hit them, that helps too. Anything that can slow them, so grenades, stun grenade, a frag grenade, when they pop, even if they just hit them a little bit, it will slow their aiming down quite a lot. Anything you can do to disturb them, it's going to help massively. So yeah, just bear that in mind when using that against the DMR classes. So what do you think? What are your counters to this particular meta? Let me know in the comment section below, and if you did enjoy the video, please make sure to hit that like button below and consider subscribing. But until then, this is the first upload of the year, and I hope to have many, many more. Thank you for the 252 subscribers we got last year when we started on, well, this day actually. We started this day a year ago. And yeah, thanks again, and I will see you in the next video, guys. Peace.